Good morning.
It's August 10th, 2026, and I'm calling the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Zoe, could you please call roll, please conduct a roll, please do the roll call.
Okay.
Don't we'll get it out.
Okay.
It's early. I woke up too early.
Okay, I'm just going to go by last name. If I do see one alternate, so I will call their name out. Bush?
Here.
Estes?
Present.
Hanley?
Here.
Ledgerwood?
Present.
Johnson? Camerdenner?
Here.
Martinez? Moore?
Here.
Ruiz?
Here.
Sharifs? Smith? Stringer?
Here.
Tate?
Here.
Wilson?
Here.
And then Lorendi. All right, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. I gather we don't have any public comments at this time?
That'll be at the end, but I
Okay.
have not received any.
Okay, so now we're on to item 2, Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization Staff Report by Ms. Patty Rendon.
All right, good morning. Patty Rendon, Transportation Planner with the Space Coast TPO. The full project status and updates and the public involvement report are in your agenda package starting on page 3. But I wanted to highlight that the Vision Zero Speed Management and Lighting Study is developing recommendations based on observations from the completed field reviews, and we'll be meeting with local municipalities and Brevard County to present those recommendations later this month. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. And now for the Space Coast Area Transit Director's Report, Mr. Terry Jordan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. First, I'll do, as I typically do, and give an overview of services for Space Coast Area Transit and how we're doing. The first thing is going to be our fixed route ridership. We continue to see a slight decrease of just over 3.9% when compared to this period to date and on previous years' overall ridership. We've contributed to a couple of things, one being a stellar year last year, but also with several days of inclement weather so far over the last overall weeks. So we anticipate that we will end the year with a slight overall decrease of hopefully less than 3% when we compare the previous fiscal year to this. Ms. Bias will provide an update on the paratransit ridership in her report in a short while. Funding, recently, Space Coast Area Transit has prepared an agenda item to go to the Board of County Commissioners for our receipt of transportation disadvantage funding in the amount of $1.9 million. This is a slight increase over last year's overall funding. There is a 10% local match for this funding, and it is for the continued provision of TD services, which is what this group is most interested in for the TD residents in Brevard County. One of our areas of big concern remains the continued escalation of fuel prices when compared to last several months. We're looking at an overall $92,000 increase in monthly expenses if you compare that to maybe about January of this year. So we are seeing a significant impact as a result of the fuel prices, and I'll mention this later, but one of the things that we're going to have to do is start looking at possibly some service reductions. When these increases come, we don't see funding to offset these additional expenses. So we're having to look at alternate ways to now save money overall to compensate for this increase. Good news is that we received new vehicles over the last several months. We received 5 new Gillick buses, which are the buses that provide fixed route service, and then 4 E450s and 1 Freightliner. These are the vehicles that provide our paratransit services. And I continue to say a big thank you to our partners at FDOT for assisting us in receiving these funds, giving our local match in some cases, and also providing the funding in some cases. So thanks again to FDOT for your provision. As I mentioned, we're exploring potential service reductions to compensate for the costs and escalating prices. One area that has been asked about recently, and I've received actually a couple emails, one most recently being from Ms. Jennifer Cleveland. She's unable to attend today, but she had asked about using Uber, Lyft, other TNCs to supplement the services. And I've shared my position on that a couple times, but I wanted to make sure that the group understands it's not simply a matter of, I don't want to do it. There are several things and several factors that go into a decision like this. And one of the major factors is the cost and the sustainability of such services. As many of you have probably taken Uber or Lyft or any other services, even taxi cabs, you know that the cost for that ride is substantial. Transit depends and operates on a shared mile cost to drive down the overall cost of the trip. And when you have a TNC like Uber and Lyft, one of the things that you would experience is a single occupancy vehicle, which means the cost of the trip is a bit higher, and you don't get the benefit of 3 or 4 people sharing the cost of that trip. So public transit really depends on that. So that's one of the major things that I have to look at when looking at the possibility of implementing such services. Ms. Cleveland, also Ms. Tate, shared their experiences with using these services in other areas. And while beneficial, while it could be extremely beneficial to the individual of being able to call a ride and not having to wait a nominal length of time or having it come within a time frame or not even having to call in advance, that's very beneficial to a rider. However, it's going to be borne by the cost of the transit service to provide that services. Right now, as I mentioned with the TD grant that we're receiving at $1.9 million, that's to provide service throughout the entire county for an entire year. And that's with a shared mile rate of about $5, just under $6 per mile. Imagine that being paid for Uber trips. It would substantially decrease the amount of service we can provide to our transportation disadvantaged riders. So those are one of the things that I wanted to point out. There are many others. And actually, like I said, I do see there's a major benefit to having such a service to our passengers. However, many of the limiting things for us in particular is the individual providing the service and the vehicle providing the service. We're required to provide accessible service. So then that means that the vehicles have to be ADA accessible. They have to be equivalent service for a person in a wheelchair. I can't give the service to one group and not to another because that's a requirement by the federal and the state government to us to give equivalent level of service. So those are areas that we have to consider. Then in addition, our operators, as many of you know, we background screen, we drug test, we have driver's license checks, and we know the vehicles. When operating with a TNC, you don't have the leeway. You don't know the vehicle that's coming. You don't know the person that's driving it. So when complaints and things of those nature come in, we don't have a whole lot of legs to stand on when there's an issue. So there's many more. I want to make sure that the group here does understand that I do see, and Space Coast Air Transit staff and I actually do see there's potential benefits. And what was also brought up was other counties in the region, particularly Volusia County, that just launched theirs. They just recently launched their service, and theirs is actually a pilot project. They received funding from the Innovative Service Development Grant last year. Unfortunately, those funds no longer, well, I shouldn't say no longer exist. They weren't awarded in this year's budget. So a service like that would be implemented as a pilot, and once the funds run out, they either have to support it locally, and as many in the room are aware, we're concerned about funding with this potential November election, or the service will have to be removed because there is no funding to provide that service. So those are things that staff and I have to consider with the implementation of subservice, and one of the biggest factors, as I mentioned, is the cost and sustainability of such services. So. Madam Chair, I know I went a little bit long, but I know this has been, actually, since I received Ms. Cleveland's email, I received 2 subsequent emails over the weekend regarding this. So I understand there's a desire to know about it, but I want to put it first before this board because this board serves the TD population, and you would know best if there's a concern, or you would hear first and foremost from your clients if there's a concern or if there's a need. And I want to give a little bit of an overview from the transit's perspective. So, Madam Chair, that's my report. Glad to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Jordan, on the first topic of fuel costs,
Yes, sir.
because it's true. I mean, 60-cent swing in a week, and that's at Costco. Decades ago, when the county ran vans out of Melbourne Airport and we delivered passengers and baggage, I used to have to take the van to the sheriff's location down on Sarno Road and put gas in it, okay? So it sounded like it was a shared resources. I'm just asking if somebody in your sphere maybe think about to buffer those price costs. If somebody's already prepaying and stockpiling fuel, maybe the refueling location might have to change, or just throwing that out there, okay? The second part is, right, is the, hey, can we bolt on another service that's a little bit maybe, and you explained all the reasons why, that there are challenges, I'll call them challenges, not obstacles, right? So I'm offering, if need be, if there's a task force or something, to go look into how to break those barriers down. And I understand cost sharing is very important. That's, without it, there is no TD or anything, right? So I appreciate that. But the other obstacles in terms of liability and background checks and other things, I'm sure those are contractual things that could be handled. So I'm just asking if there's a will, I certainly would volunteer my services to help to bring this to bear, knowing your position and knowing your limitations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the recommendations and for your comments once again, Mr. Lorendi. Actually, and Jamie could also speak to this, and I know I always point to our DOT partners, but recently we worked with FDOT and the Center for Urban Transportation Research, and they actually did a white paper on agencies throughout the state that are providing services via TNCs. A lot of the service that they are providing, this is an area that has been presented to the TPO board, and I believe this group as well, microtransit is an opportunity that may give us a little bit of flexibility. That is actually what Volusia County is implementing now with their pilot program, is microtransit, and not just simply an Uber service. So there's an opportunity there where we partner directly with a vendor, not with Uber or Lyft specifically. We partner with a vendor that then provides the services for us, but it's slightly different. So there's an option there, and that's something that we have investigated here within Space Coast Air Transit in collaboration with our TPO partners on potentially implementing that. As if one of the, again, limiting factors is someone has to come to the table with money in hand. So,
Okay,
thank you again, sir.
you're welcome.
Thank you. And sometimes you have to bring it up because this is the group to bring it up with. We're all looking for something different and moving it closer.
Thank you, Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Transit Community Outreach Report, Carmen?
Good morning.
As you can see, the report is kind of small because during the summer months, we don't really do much out there. It's always like in between January and February and then towards the end of the month. But we did one with Anthony and his group. It was a wonderful turnout. I love doing it. He's gotten kind of a lot of questions, right, from that.
People loved it here. You and Lance, I'm sorry I didn't bring it up here, did a great job, right? We have a monthly meeting. It's down in Wings of Grace Ministry, and they impressed everybody. In fact, I think they made a lot of good friends, and hopefully they got some polite phone calls and in need of growth of service because of Palm Bay and other areas. So,
Yeah,
thank you both.
it was a very nice turnout.
Very nice.
Thank you for the invite,
Well,
Anthony.
thank you for spending your time.
Do you have any other questions on that? I'll stay up with the other one. Okay, TD, again, we're having a kind of like 200 to 300 a month growth on the transportation disadvantage. And like Terry said, fuel, we're doing it we're succeeding with all the trips we're doing, and we haven't denied anybody. We just been doing it a little bit innovative, like cutting down and actually start picking up more people with the same vehicle. So I know a lot of people are going to be complaining because they got to be picked up a little earlier, but we're trying to accommodate a lot more trips going the same direction with the same bus instead of doing onesies and twosies. So we've been trying to lump up all the paratransit trips, and yes, it's a little inconvenient with time, but it's also a shared ride. So we've been trying to do that, and we've been trying to cut routes and fill up all the other routes. So it's a challenge, but we haven't denied anybody yet, which is a good thing. You have any questions? Good.
And Madam Chair, just to add to that, as Carmen was saying, one of the biggest things in this area right now is being as efficient as possible. As mentioned with the fuel costs, you might have heard previous attendees in the public hearing talk about the longer rides and having to go further distances. This is the expense that the customer has to pay for us to maintain that trip. So, you know, it is an inconvenience, but the trip still exists.
Well, if Amendment 3 passes, there'll be a lot longer. Let's see if we can still be doing this. And there are going to be a lot longer waits. I'm just going to say that. Somebody that's on council, on a city council, and what we're looking at, and between the I haven't looked at the counties. I don't want to even look. But
I'll say, if you are interested in finding out the county's position, just watch last week's board meeting.
I don't know where their numbers are. I know how they feel about it. So it's any. I shouldn't say that because I have seen some people like, oh, I think this is a great idea. But I'm going to say 95% of anybody that's in local governments or county governments is not in favor for the Amendment 3 position. I know I'm getting really close to the edge right now. I'm just stating. But if it is passed, we're going to have a very hard, strenuous for everybody, not just for you, but everybody. So on to volunteers in motion. Ms. Lori Hamilton.
Good morning. I just wanted to just touch on a few things on the report that I turned in. Our pending 3 volunteers are still pending, even though that was the same from first quarter. 2 of them are seasonal volunteers, and they happened to leave, before we could finish their training, so I'm keeping them on pending. And then there was another gentleman that ended up having some surgery that's going to take him out for a few months, so I kept that there. We did, one volunteer did resign. He decided that he was seasonal, and he decided to go back up to South Dakota and stay there with family. I'm not sure if any of you had an opportunity to look at the National Rural Transit Assistance Program. Basically, there's a lot of information on that website. So I'm thankful that we were picked as, one of 7 of programs that they decided to highlight. I think besides them basically saying that we had a pretty darn good volunteer program for our area, especially with our challenges of the program of our county being so long. One of the things that they thought was really great was that we teamed up with, for instance, Satellite Beach's paramedic program, where they go out to the community and meet their seniors that live in their community, and if they have any issues, particularly transportation, then they'll go ahead and reach out to us to reach out to them. There's other towns that have tried to do that. Cocoa Beach is one of them, but it just doesn't, we don't really get a whole lot of calls from them, so I'm assuming that all of their needs are being met. But I did like the write-up, so I'm not sure if anyone had any questions that, I don't know if anyone looked at that or not. Probably not. Oh, you did? Great.
Okay, well, so what city is the one that you get the most calls from or for?
Okay, that would be a beachside, Satellite Beach, Indian Harbor Beach, and Vieira, and Rockledge. Those cities would be the ones that we get most of our calls from. As I mentioned last quarter, we are starting to do a little bit of service up in Titusville, and right now we have around 4 people. I know that's a very small amount, but we went for so many years not being able to service up there that it's nice that, we're reaching out and able to help them.
Well, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
If I had somebody that I wanted to refer as a volunteer, do you have information, like your contact information?
Yes, actually, if, or on here, I have my contact information, the office number, and also my cell phone number is on the, and I'm happy to give it to you right now.
Okay, I can see you afterwards and grab
Sure.
it from-
Well,
Why don't you
I
give
just
it
am
right,
not
why don't,
seeing the
why don't you
page.
give it so that if
It-
anybody's.
Oh, yeah,
It's
sure,
in the
perfect.
agenda package on page 14.
But let's,
Thank you.
but please just give it out so
Okay.
that people that are listening.
office number is 321-635-7999, and my cell phone number is 321-506-7041.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, on to the consent agenda. We have, I don't know how we want to do reading them out.
Sure, if you'd like, I can read them out. So the consent agenda will be passed in one motion and read aloud for the record. Approval of the TDLCB meeting minutes from May 4th, 2026 on page 16. Approval of the annual review of grievance procedures on page 20. Approval of Resolution 27-03, PLC-8, TDLCB policy amendment, page 31.
Do we have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
I will provide that.
Ms. Bush, any sec?
I'll second.
Ms. Moore, second. Thank you. And now, do we have a vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? And it passes. Now on to actions. Approval of work order 27-02V for the 2027 Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan Major Update Scope of Services.
Yes, so for this next item, I wanted to give a quick refresher on the purpose of the TDSP that will be upcoming next year for the major update. So the Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan is an annually updated tactical plan jointly developed by the planning agency, the Space Coast TPO, and the CTC, which is Space Coast Area Transit, which contains development, service, and quality assurance components. The local coordinating board reviews and approves the service plan, and it's submitted to the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged for final action. The TDSP covers a 5-year period with annual updates for years 2 through 5, due prior to July 1st of each subsequent year. The development and submission of the service plan and annual updates are the responsibility of the coordinator, the planning agency, and the local coordinating board. In order to prevent any loss of funding, it's critical that the plan and updates are submitted timely. The purpose of the TDSP is to identify who the transportation disadvantaged population is and where they are, assess current transportation services and gaps, unmet needs, times, or areas not served, set goals, objectives, and priorities for improving mobility for TD individuals, guide funding decisions and support applications for state and federal grants, and improve coordination among agencies, providers, and local governments. VHB Inc., the SCTPO's general transit consultant, will develop a full TDSP major update for transit and the SCTPO for the next 5-year planning cycle. When updating the current 2021 through 2026 TDSP for the new 2027 through 2032 planning period, they will reassess demographics, service conditions, unmet needs, coordination opportunities, and performance trends while preparing the development plan, service plan, cost revenue allocation, rate structure justification, and quality assurance components needed for the major update. And with that, staff is asking for approval of work order 27-02V for the 2027 Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan Major Update Scope of Services.
Thank you. Do we have a motion for approval of work order 27-02V?
I'll put a motion for that. No.
Okay.
I'll
Do we have a
second.
Second? Ms. Tate was second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. Now we're going to have a presentation. Ms. Patty again.
Yes, me
For the
again.
Vision Zero.
So I'll be presenting the 2025 Vision Zero annual report highlights before going into a little more detail on the 2025 Signal 4 crash data. This annual report supports the updated Vision Zero action plan adopted in February of 2024, aligning with the Florida Department of Transportation's target of 0 fatalities and serious injuries by 2050. To give you some highlights from the 2025 Vision Zero focused wins for the SCTPO, 4 road user safety education programs were developed, 7 driver safety education programs were conducted, and 6 best practice events were attended by staff. We also engaged with 32 community partners in high injury network areas and participated in 26 collective in-person and virtual collaborations with regional and statewide coalition committee and community meetings. The SCTPO also received multiple awards at the 2025 Florida Public Relations Association Golden Image Gala, one of the state's most prestigious awards program for public relations excellence. This recognition included the Award of Distinction in the Special Events category for Fast Forward Workshop Series, Advancing Transportation on the Space Coast, and the Judges Award, Golden Image Award, and Grand Golden Image Award in the News Release or Pitch category for Safer Tracks Ahead, SCTPO's rail crossing grant announcement. The Safer Tracks Ahead campaign not only earned the top honor in its category, but was also recognized as the best of the best in its division. Collaborations on transportation safety, along with our robust digital safety campaigns, are part of the efforts to connect with the community and advance the SCTPO's Vision Zero priorities. We wanted the annual report to showcase some of the outreach activities the SCTPO has conducted and participated in over the past year, including National Walk and Roll to School Day, celebrating safe, active trips to school. 20 schools from Brevard County registered for the event in 2025, making us the second highest participating county in Florida. Pictured here is Coquina Elementary in Titusville. SCTPO staff was present there and at Stevenson Elementary in 2025 to pass out reflective gear and other safety materials to help students stay visible on their way to school. Surfside Elementary School's Family Fitness Night and Satellite Beach, which included SCTPO staff providing safety education and safety materials distribution, as well as a helmet fitting. The Vision Zero leadership team also got an on-the-ground look at the FDOT safety upgrades to Clear Lake Road in Cocoa, including the newly installed pedestrian hydrant beacons. The leadership team evaluated current conditions and experienced the roadway from the perspective of the most vulnerable road users. Another important event from 2025 included World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims. It's observed every year on the 3rd Sunday in November to honor those killed and injured on our roadways and to support their families and communities. The in-person remembrance event organized by the SCTPO Community Engagement and Outreach Team was held on Sunday, November 16th to honor the lives lost and recommit to safer streets for all. In order to reach more people in our community and beyond with road safety information, the SCTPO utilizes digital safety campaigns. We have just a snapshot of the many campaigns that generated online discussion on road safety education and awareness, including Back to School Safety, National Roundabouts Week, Crash Responder Safety Week, and Distracted Driving Awareness Month. The Space Coast TPO analyzed Brevard County fatal and serious injury crash data from 2018 to 2022 to understand where crashes occur and evaluate other crash characteristics. This analysis helped identify countermeasures and strategies for the updated action plan in 2024, and revisiting the crash data annually helps track the progress of that action plan, the strategies, and the advancement towards the goal of 0 deaths and serious injuries. To give a quick overview of the 2025 crash data, 93 people died and 419 were seriously injured. 2025 saw an average 4% increase in fatalities and serious injuries compared to the previous years, 2021 through 2024. We also saw a 14% increase from last year in fatal and serious injuries involving vulnerable road users. So as mentioned previously, the 2024 Vision Zero Action Plan established the framework for identifying crash trends and implementing strategies to achieve our goal of 0 roadway fatalities and serious injuries. And each year, the annual report updates these crash trends so that we can measure our progress and understand where additional efforts are needed. In 2024, Brevard County experienced a 12% decrease in fatal and serious injury crashes compared to the previous 4-year average, representing meaningful progress towards our Vision Zero goal. In 2025, we continue to see encouraging signs, including a 4% decrease in fatalities compared to the average. However, serious injuries increased by 6%, resulting in an overall 4% increase in those fatal and serious injury crashes. The Vision Zero Action Plan establishes the goal of eliminating all roadway fatalities and serious injuries in Brevard County by 2050. And while strides have been made towards this goal, the data reminds us that there is still work to do. In December 2022, the SCTPO celebrated that Vision Zero resolutions had been adopted region-wide by each municipality, Brevard County, and Brevard Public Schools. We're grateful to our Vision Zero partners and communities who have recognized that the only acceptable number of roadway serious injury and fatalities is 0, and we must work together to achieve our goal of getting everyone home safely. Although the action plan is a countywide effort, it is important to understand where fatal and serious injury crashes are occurring within our individual municipalities. Factors such as population, traffic volumes, and roadway mileage influence these numbers. However, monitoring changes in local trends helps us identify where targeted strategies, education campaigns, enforcement efforts, and engineering improvements may be most effective. The highest number of fatal and serious injury crashes continue to occur in unincorporated Brevard County, Palm Bay, Melbourne, Cocoa, and Titusville. On the brighter side, several communities, including Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville, Indian Harbor Beach, and Malabar, did experience decreases in fatal and serious injury crashes compared to last year. These improvements demonstrate that local safety initiatives and partnerships can make a meaningful difference. Last year's data showed that our vulnerable road users, including pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorcyclists, continue to be disproportionately impacted by these high severity crashes. Although they represent a relatively small share of overall roadway users, they account for approximately 40% of all fatalities and serious injuries in Brevard County in 2025. Even more concerning, fatal and serious injury crashes involving vulnerable road users increased by 14% compared to the 2021 to 2024 average. These trends reinforce the importance of continuing to invest in infrastructure, education, and policies that improve safety for all road users, especially those that are most vulnerable. So why do these crashes occur? Fatal and serious injury crashes rarely result from a single factor. Instead, they're often influenced by a combination of roadway, vehicle, environment, and human factors. So the data shows us that 73% occur at intersections, 59% are lane departure crashes, where a vehicle leaves its designated travel lane, often resulting in runoff road or fixed object crashes. 53% involve aging road users, while 20% involve teen drivers, and 35% involve aggressive or speeding-relating driving behaviors. 27% involve lack of occupant protection, such as not wearing a seatbelt or helmet, and 24% involve distracted driving. But this is only what is being reported on. The number is much more likely to be higher than the data suggests, just because if someone is distracted by a phone or something of that nature, if that is not reported in the crash report, it's not going to show up in the data. So understanding these contributing factors helps us identify the most effective strategies and countermeasures across the safe system approach, or the 3 E's of safety: engineering, education, enforcement, and emergency response. Each of these elements plays a critical role in helping us move forward with our shared goal of 0 fatalities and serious injuries. And it's an ambitious but achievable goal if we continue working together as partners and as a community to use every strategy at our disposal. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you. Wait, Mr. Jordan.
Great report, Patty. And as many in the room know, that most, if not a significant portion of our transit users are first vulnerable users, whether it be a bicyclist or a pedestrian. So thanks for providing this information. A question that I have is more of a curious question, and go back to one of the statistics. Is the separation of bicyclists, do you anticipate that the e-bikes will be separated at any time?
So because in the statute of what defines an electric micromobility device, and on the crash report specifically, there's no distinction made between a pedal bike, a regular bike, and an e-bike, not yet at least. So right now, the data, it's combining all of it together. So until that happens, where there is that standard defining language, especially in the crash report, it's still going to be enmeshed.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, Madam Chair. On the intersection crashes, which is the highest type of crash, are you able to, you probably don't have it here, but in the future, are you able to drill down and tell us if any of those intersections involved the running of red lights, including red light cameras at those intersections? I would be curious, because I've seen people gun it through the light because they don't want to get a ticket. And I'll keep my personal opinions off of this meeting about red light cameras, but I want to make sure that they're more of a safety than posing a danger. In other words, is the benefit outweighing the risk? I'd be curious to see what the data on those.
To see if you could break
Yes,
out what
yes. Yeah.
percentage is red light
Yeah.
running. I can definitely look into that.
Thank you.
I have a question also. Do you have any data on, like, our increase or decrease in traffic volume in some of these areas, like per city or per high incident corridor, or vehicle miles traveled per capita that would affect these? Because when I look at the numbers, you know, it says you've got Cocoa, I can't remember what the numbers were, but the population of Palm Bay, for example, is like 6-8 times higher than the population of Cocoa, and yet you've got only 2 to 3 times more the deaths and serious injuries in Palm Bay. But it would be more relevant to understand, like, the miles traveled per capita in those areas, to understand where there's real problem areas.
Yeah, I can definitely look into the particular breakdown.
Thank you.
Sure.
Going back to Ms. Jeanette's question, there are no red light cameras in operation in Brevard County, so
Well,
we
that
couldn't
answers
provide that
that.
data.
Okay, that was easy.
But
Thank you.
then, I'm sorry, Sarah Crom, Senior Transportation Planner with Space Coast TPO. I'm not wearing my name tag. I don't know why I pointed at it. So we are actually working on a dashboard called the Transportation Trend Tracker. And what you'll eventually be able to do is you'll be able to click on a corridor and you'll be able to see all that correlated information of, this is on this corridor, we're seeing this many high injury, we're seeing this many fatalities, this many serious injuries, this is what your vehicle miles traveled is. All that information will be correlated. However, or centralized. Basically, I don't want people to anticipate that they'll be able to assume that that crash was caused because of those factors. Because as you very well know,
Right.
each crash has such various different factors that went into creating that dangerous situation.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think at first glance, we can look at that slide and go, yeah, Palm Bay has more people is one of the reasons why we're seeing more injuries. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Just add one quick addition. You went through all this effort, and it's commendable, great job. Is it being shared backwards to, obviously, you're not going to share Brevard County itself, the ice cream cone, but did you send it to Melbourne, Palm Bay, and those I'm asking because they would benefit, certainly insurance companies would be interested.
So this report was also given to the Space Coast TPO Governing Board, which is made up of elected officials throughout the county. So those are kind of our representatives to go back to.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay. Now into public comment. Anybody, do we have any public comments today, Zoe?
I have no public comments, but I do think a member has an announcement for member reports.
Okay. We have, are you,
Did you want to share about
Oh.
your event for member reports?
I just wanted to make everyone aware that the One Voice Coalition is going to have a conference at the Melbourne Auditorium on August 29th. It's a Saturday from 10 to 4. The keynote speaker is going to be the director of the state APD. So there's going to be a lot of disability representation there, and a lot of people to talk about services that are available in this area. Yeah.
any others?
And then I have no public comment, correct? Yeah, no public comment.
Okay. And going on to number 8 is for the year 2026 TD Planning Grant Fourth Quarter Invoice and Progress Report.
So both items under item 8, the administrative items, are for informational purposes. The quarterly invoice for the planning grant and the membership and meeting attendance list. So those are there for the good of the group and available for any questions.
Is there anything else today? Okay, if we, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'm making the motion to
Mr. Stringer?
adjourn.
Makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Tate? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we're adjourned. I just want to say that our next meeting is November 9th at 10:30. And that's the annual public hearing has been moved from the February 2027 meeting. Is there anything else I need to know or say out loud? Well, thank everybody, and we'll see you in November. Have a great time.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.